Hey Mandy,
Hello.
how's it going?
I don't know if I feel like talking to you today.
That's a beautiful lead into the conversation.
Yes, I don't know if anybody else is feeling a bit antisocial or a bit argumentative, or maybe, just a little bit like somebody's trying to kind of get in the way of you getting your sentences out. But little Mercury there in Libra, my goodness,
Being
it's
opposed by
facing the
Mars.
enemy.
Yeah, facing the enemy Mars. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So that is.
So this video is called, it's got really, I can't remember the title. That's how bad my Mercury is at the moment. Can you remember the title?
Yes, Mercury in Libra, opposition Mars in Aries.
Yes.
Or I should say no, Mercury in Libra opposed by Mars in Aries and struck by a ray from Saturn in
Yes.
Capricorn.
So Mercury in Libra, opposition Mars, and Mars is one of the difficult planets.
Yeah.
And the other difficult planet, Saturn, is striking Mercury with a backwards ray, but I'll let Harley talk about that in a minute. But yes, Mercury went into Libra on the 5th of September. Today's the 16th of September. And since it went in, the whole time it's been in opposition with Mars, which is kind of like, that is difficult. That in itself is difficult. And it's heading towards a square, which I will let Khalid explain a little bit further, with the other difficult planet, Saturn. And it's actually going to hit that, or it's going to come within 3 degrees of that, where it will really kind of feel the effects of that on the 21st of September at 3:40 a.m. Mm-hmm. So if anyone's really interested in the timings, I'm going to give those all out now and get that out the way. So as I say, as of now, it is in opposition with Mars. That's happening right now. On the 21st of September at 3:40 a.m., it becomes dangerously close to this kind of square with Saturn. Okay. It's going to kind of like stay in that dangerous kind of like position with Saturn, even though it's still moving. It's going to be catching that through till the 25th of September at 10:15 in the evening. So yeah, from basically the 21st of September, early hours of the morning, through to the 25th of September at 10:15 in the evening. Expect your Mercury to be affected by Saturn, which I will get Holly to explain, but I'm just giving the dates at the moment. And as I say, it's got this opposition going right now with Mars, but that opposition becomes more intense because it goes within 3 degrees on the 22nd of September at 10 o'clock in the morning. So from the 22nd of September at 10 o'clock in the morning, it's got both of them going on. It's right in the thick of it, and it's kind of like being attacked from 2 directions by the 2 kind of most difficult planets. And really, that will kind of carry on until the 27th of September, when Mercury shuts the door on it all and goes into Scorpio. Just gets itself out of Libra and gets into Scorpio. So this whole sequence of events really, although it's kind of started now, it really heats up from the 21st of September through to the 27th. It's difficult. It is difficult. So those are the dates. Those are the times. I'm just going to show you a quick chart just for a second. I don't want to kind of dominate the screen here, but share the screen. There we go. Okay. So that is the chart of the 22nd of September at 10 a.m. when Mercury, there it is. If you can see the arrow, it's at 24 degrees Libra over there. You've got 27 degrees Aries over here. So that is an opposition. They're within 3 degrees of each other. And then you've got 25 degrees and 22 astrological minutes, but 25 degrees Saturn in Capricorn. So that's very, very close to that 24 degrees in Libra. And Libra through to Capricorn is a very difficult angle. Okay, so that's the astrology. Okay, I'm going to leave that up if anyone wants to kind of like absorb that, take that in. Harley, tell us a little bit more about these. And we are going to be doing tarot readings that directly relate to poor little Mercury and its communication problems. Tell us a little bit more about the astrology of this.
Yeah, so for those of you who have been following our videos, you probably know by now that we base our readings more on Hellenistic astrology, so Greek astrology, and largely thanks to what we've been learning from specialists like Chris Brennan. And,
yes,
and I actually learned about this concept of a planet casting back a ray, right, through the order of signs, right, clockwise, right, and affecting another planet through that way. Okay, so basically, the way that the influence of, we'll stick to malefic planets now. The way that the influence of malefic planets is thought of in Hellenistic Greek astrology is that for oppositions, right, oppositions work whenever the planets involved enter the opposing signs, right? So
which would be the Libra,
so
which is right opposite the Aries.
Exactly. So the opposition between Mars and Mercury would have started from September 5, from the day that Mercury entered the sign of Libra. So what's at stake is that really it's just that Mercury is moving closer and closer toward a more difficult aspect with Mars, but the difficult aspect starts the moment it enters Libra, and it ends the moment it leaves Libra and enters Scorpio. Okay. So that's as far as opposition goes, and we can see here at 22 September is the date when the opposition, it starts applying toward an exact opposition toward Mars within a 3-degree range. And for the Hellenistic astrologers, that 3-degree range is the range when things get really intense, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking about really any aspects that, even when we talk about conjunctions, for example, okay? So in addition to this difficult challenge that's being posed by Mars, which is strong in Aries, okay, and retrograde, which we can safely assume is making it like more frustrated with itself, possibly. In addition to that, we have Saturn doing something called casting a ray back through the order of the signs, okay? And so why is this terminology even relevant? Okay, we all know, like from modern astrology, that any square aspect is difficult. However, in Hellenistic astrology, the premise was that the planet coming before, the planet in any square, right, coming before the other planet in the order of the signs has some kind of leverage over it, has some level of, let's say, power in the relationship that gives it an upper hand, you know? But there is an exception to that situation, which is when like a malefic planet casts a ray back in the order of signs, okay? So if we look at here 25, for example, a ray is being cast by Saturn in Capricorn to Libra, specifically the 25th degree of Libra. And Mercury is already then within that 3-degree range of application to an exact square with Saturn. So that's called her casting back with a ray. Okay.
Yeah, just to kind of like remind everyone, it went within the 3 degrees the day before, the 21st.
Right.
I've done the chart when it's kind of like both of them are very intense. So Mercury is quite fast moving. So on the 21st, it got itself within those 3 degrees. So by the time it goes into the opposition with Mars, like, you know, and it's like spot on, like always within that 3 degrees. It's only 1 degree away really from Saturn.
Right. And it leaves that aspect with Saturn, I believe, on the 25th of September. Is that right, Mandy?
Yes, it leaves there at 10:15 in the evening on the 25th. It kind of starts, it passes Saturn.
Right. And then
so it's still within 3 degrees the other way, but it's now separating. Yeah.
So the aspect is something to be concerned about for the whole duration of time when there's a 3 degree range on either side of the exact square. Okay, that's something to keep in mind, and that, you know, there's thankfully there's a ray of hope, another ray, not by the malefic, a ray of hope, which is when Mercury leaves Libra altogether and enters into Scorpio, right?
Which is on the 27th of September.
On the 27th of September, okay? So, yeah, I hope that's been clear. If it sounds confusing, so please feel free to email us and we'd be more than happy to explain.
And just before we do the tarot readings, can you just say a little bit about the difference? Because both Mars and Saturn are difficult energies, or they can be difficult, challenging energies. And the fact that they've got hard aspects to little Mercury, it could well bring out the worst in both of them. Could you just very briefly just describe the difference in the nature of Mars and the nature of Saturn, and then we're going to do the tarot reading. So
So the malefic nature of Mars is different from that of Saturn, because in the case of Mars, you know, you're talking about a kind of an aggressive force that's inclined to assert itself against the environment. Okay. And so if people with a lot of like Martian energy in their charts, we can expect them to be, let's say, I mean, whether they realize it or not, you know, either very like aggressive towards other people or towards themselves, or kind of jumping, in a better case scenario, like jumping to take the lead in matters, you know, and sometimes like pushing themselves to do reckless things because there's this kind of rush of acting out, you know, like going out of safe kind of comfort zones and kind of immersing oneself or pitting oneself against the outer limits imposed by society. Okay, Saturn works in a very contrary way. Okay, Saturn exerts the difficult influences by reinforcing the sense of restraint and boundaries, and making like making a person feel a bit smaller, less important, maybe weaker, with respect to the forces coming from outside. So we can think about like social hierarchy, for example, or like hierarchies related to age or class, you know, and any number of ways we can go with this. But basically, it's an influence that kind of makes you feel restricted, less free, maybe less adventurous, maybe less brave than you'd like to be. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, you know, that we have both the restraining influence that's working on Mercury now from Saturn, and we have this aggressive, like extroverted kind of pushing out kind of influence coming from Mars. And as you can see from the chart, there is a square between Saturn and Mars also, but we were going to be saving that for another video because it's like it's its own topic, and that aspect is going to last for quite a long time. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, with Mercury being the planet of communication, I just feel this is the kind of like likely area where these difficulties are going to be for everybody. Misunderstandings, kind of like getting angry, you know, or just feeling that you're not allowed to kind of like express yourself properly, say your opinion properly. But I can't stand it when I can't finish my sentences, things like that,
Yeah.
you know. And obviously Mercury's there in Libra, which can be to do with partnerships and relationships and all that sort of thing, and balance, fairness. Yeah, I just feel, I suppose as well, with all the kind of like, there's a whole lack of trust going on globally at the moment. No one trusts their governments. No one's trusting what we're being told. It's kind of like, and I think everybody feels like that in one way or another. We don't understand the restrictions. Like, one minute there's a restriction, the next minute that it's kind of like, no, you must go back to work, you must go back to school, all of that sort of thing. It's all in the air anyway, and I just feel, oh my God, is this going to get more
Yeah,
intense?
I really like that you mentioned that, you know, because it captures the kind of not paradox is not the right word, but the kind of, let's say, stuck position. It's just the word I wanted, is escaping my mind. Like, you know, when you're stuck between equally undesirable alternatives, okay?
Yes,
Um,
yes,
you know, just recently, I'm recording this from Kuwait, and just recently the curfew ended, okay? But now they're talking about reimposing the curfew, you know? So it's kind of like a Saturnine situation of restraint was lifted, right? And everyone was very excited about it, in spite of many people realizing that it's a reckless kind of thing to do, right? Because the number of infections hasn't gone up. Okay, it remains high every day.
right.
And now the same kind of state of restriction that was really had an oppressive effect on people is likely, there's a high likelihood of it coming back into place, you know. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what this kind of like polar opposing kind of influences do when we're thinking about a planet like Mercury that is involved in communication, self-expression, uh, uh, creative ideas, usually ideas expressed in language or writing, travel, um, short distance travel most of the time, but sometimes also long distance travel.
Yeah,
Mention technology, yeah. So a very broad range of potential areas could be affected by
yeah.
the combined influence of Mars and Saturn on Mercury here in this period.
Well, yeah. Well, so these tarot readings, obviously, uh, they are basically going, really, they're covering in a sense up until the 27th of September. So they've got quite a short little, it's quite a short little period of time these readings are about. But on that day, Mercury goes into Scorpio, and that changes everything for Mercury. It's kind of like it's escaped from this situation on the 27th of September. So just bear that in mind with these tarot readings. Now we're going to actually mix this up a bit, like different to before. So I think we should both shuffle at the same time. And I know, Harley, you're doing the first and the third card.
Yes.
Right. If you'd like to sort of say what they are, and I'm shuffling in for the second and the fourth card.
Right. But before I get to the third, you have to say the second, because the third is a combination.
Yeah. So we'll just say out loud what
Yeah.
each one
Good. All right.
each one is. So
So
go ahead. Right. Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna be drawing a card that's like basically advice for something we need to be alert about
Yeah.
concerning the opposition between Mars and in Aries and Mercury in Libra. And I forgot to mention, I think that both Mars and Saturn are retrograde in this period.
Oh yeah.
But I want to emphasize this point. That Mars is retrograde, right? Which adds another layer of difficulty. But so I'm going to be asking Tara for a message that would be helpful to recognize like the most challenging aspect of this opposition keeping in mind that the most challenging aspect is yet to come. So today it's the 16th of September.
Yeah.
So 6 days from now, like, we're going to be heading toward the most challenging aspect, which is when Mercury applies toward an exact opposition with
Okay.
Mars. Okay, so that is my part.
Okay, I'm just going to stop the share, right? Okay, so right, there we are. Okay, so my card is about the backward ray. I like the fact that I've got the gymnastic card. Okay, so my card is, yeah, to get an idea of the message, the advice, the kind of what, I don't know, maybe what to expect, whatever comes up here, but it is directly whatever is going to be most helpful to know about for the backward ray. So Saturn shooting that ray, that restrictive ray from its position in Capricorn, where it's retrograde, down to Mercury in Libra. What is that connection between Saturn and Mercury? Saturn in Capricorn and Mercury in Libra. What is that ray all about? And as I say, that really comes into play on the 21st of September. It would be within 3 degrees. So it's kind of, it's there. It's in the firing line. Okay, third card, that's you.
So for the third card, I'm going to be asking about asking for advice or any kind of pointers concerning the most challenging aspect of the combination of these two aspects, right? So
Yeah.
Mercury in Libra being struck by Aries and Saturn and Capricorn, and at the same time being opposed by Mars in Aries. And I'm having in mind specifically, I guess, this 5-day period between the 22nd and the 27th, when Mercury starts applying towards an exact opposition with Mars. Okay. So what's the message to be? What's the message to be alert to during this period? Okay. Yeah.
And last but not least, what do we have to look forward to when Mercury actually gets out of it and gets itself into Scorpio? So when Mercury can sort of like feel free of the wrath of Mars, oh, my dog, and Saturn. I think my dog's got a bit of Mars in its butt. So yeah, so once Mercury gets itself into Scorpio and it's out of that kind of energy where it's been for the last sort of week or so, what do we have to look forward to then? Okay, that is it. And I think I'm ready to put my cards down and let you start the readings. Okay. Okay.
All right. So Mars in Aries opposite Mercury in Libra. Wow. This isn't what I expected I would get.
Okay.
A very stable card. This is the Four of Wands upright.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's what I'm getting. All right. I feel like the opposition is is exerting this kind of energy that makes people feel really excited, right? Really,
Yeah.
I'd say prematurely optimistic about being able to leave the boundaries that are already in place. Okay.
Okay.
Sort of like feeling that, oh, everything's back to normal now, everything is stable, right? Like we can see with the stability of this castle in the back, right? And then these two women shaking these bunches and cheering, right? Like, oh, yes, things are back to normal, it's stable, we're good to go, okay? And so I'm feeling it's like giving a kind of a sense of a sense of, oh, let's get out there and let's do this, things are okay, you know. um and I know it's come up in the upright position.
Yeah.
Which I'm thinking actually might be keeping in mind that the malefic influences of Mars and Saturn don't work in the same direction. So it might even be kind of pushing against that restrictiveness of Saturn in a way that at least like lets people kind of feel lighter, lets them feel lighter, you know? But we need to be careful that this is not, this is not a premature kind of wishful kind of boldness, adventurousness, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the message I'm getting from this card. It's just the way you think about the situation. All right, here's the Mercury part. The way you think about the situation. Now, you may be thinking that things are pretty stable, but just wait, before before really acting on that thought.
Wow. That was kind of a challenging card to come up, really,
Yeah.
for that position.
Yes.
But let's see how it all kind of ties in together, because I am seeing there's this overall thing has got a theme. So we'll see how it all blends.
Yeah.
So I've got the backward ray. I've got the ray from Saturn through to Mercury, which is kind of like supposedly restrictive. So let's just see what I get on that. Okay, so mine's a little bit easier to read than yours. Okay, so again, I've got what would be considered another very nice card, but it has come up reversed. Okay, so I have got a card of like with the it's really interesting because I think these two energies are very appropriate for exactly what you said. You've got the outward thing going on with the Mars, and even though we're not talking about that aspect, that it's squaring the Saturn, but the Saturn is putting all the dampeners on it and saying, no, you can't do it. So it might be, you want to go and visit people, you want to go and I don't know, just be kind and generous and, give people a hug and sort of show your appreciation of things, but you can't do it. You can't do it. So, and whatever you might be thinking, no, I'm seeing this as being totally restrictive of even the most innocent thing. And it might just be people who are thinking, I know I haven't got the virus. I want to go and sort of visit that person. And I know that they haven't got it. And I know that we'll all be fine. But you can't do it because, maybe there's some curfew coming or there's some restriction in your area. But it's just going to be very, very frustrating when that ray hits Mercury on that 21st of September, when that ray hits Mercury, I think it's going to just put the spanner in the works completely for people's plans. Even the most innocent and sweet little plans are going to go down. You know, they're just. I just think there's going to be more bans. Do you know what the card is?
Eight of Swords.
No. No.
Should I have
One more guess, or shall I show you?
Okay, the Chariot Reversed.
No. Six of Cups reversed.
Ah. Yeah.
I mean, that should just be a completely harmless action, but you can't do it. No, it's not going to happen. I think there's going to be a lot of people whose plans, even in the simplest way, are going to kind of like be nipped in the bud. Actually, I'm going to say that because you've got all the flowers and things there. I just feel Saturn is just going to really kind of clamp down on what people want to do in terms of communication.
Yeah. One thing I just want to mention before moving to the third card, it just struck me as you were talking. So Mars in Aries, Mars rules Aries, right? And so when any of the malefics are in the signs that they rule, so when Mars is in Aries or Scorpio, they're supposed to be relatively better behaved. Okay? And just realize, first of all, that the Four of Wands, right? Wands is the suit of fire. And this is a stable foundation with a home here, right? So I feel like the imagery and the elemental associations also are resonating with Mars in Aries, right? The fiery planet at home in Aries. And I think that element, and possibly the fact that it's like, okay, the fact that it's like its aggressiveness might be being restrained by Saturn, which is in the superior position in the square, is having a less kind of a very overtly kind of destructive, kind of detrimental effect. And that's why it's come up, this card has come up upright, right? So maybe for this period of time, hopefully it won't be as damaging to get out there, right, and move around, but it's just, I'm seeing it as just this period of time. Because once we get out of it, the situation is going to be different, right? Yeah.
You've made another good point as well. The fact that obviously Mars, yes, is at home in Aries, but Saturn is also at home in Capricorn. So that both of the malefics are actually very comfortable where they are.
Yes, they are very.
Mercury was at home in Virgo, and Mercury's come out of being at home to go into Libra, and it's like, oh, whoa. Yeah. So there's a little bit of a message there, sort of like maybe saying, you know, stay at home. To know. So what have you got on the third card then?
Okay, third card. Combination of Mars opposite Mars in Aries opposite Mercury in Libra, and the ray being struck back from Saturn in Capricorn to Mercury.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so luckily, it's not a stressful card. Again, it's a surprisingly unstressful card. Okay, you got the Queen of Pentacles upright.
Oh gosh, yes.
What I'm getting from this is that this will be a time, like the safest thing for you to do at this time is to stay in territory where you're already comfortable, right?
Yes.
So your home or whatever it is that you're already living, okay, and putting your energy into routines that you're already familiar with, okay, not doing the new things, but putting your energy into routines that you're already familiar with, that you've already given a lot of time to, okay. So nurturing things that are already familiar with you, familiar to you, sorry, and attached, just like the coin here. You see, just like the coin here is, he holds it like with the kind of with the demeanor that you might expect to see in a mother holding a child, right?
Yes.
She's kind of nursing this coin. So I'm sensing this message is saying like, take care of what you already have, right? Rather than going out and and trying to explore yourself outdoors, right? Or in the larger social sphere. Yeah. So I think both these messages that I got are very much about stability. There's more fire in the Four of Wands, obviously, and there's more like excitement. There's more
Yeah.
excitement, definitely in the Four of Wands, and on the opposite, on the other side, you have more like, I don't want to say drudgery, not drudgery, but
Practical.
familiarity, kind of routine that is safe, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but there is a kind of pattern in common between these two cards, which is like solidity, right? Solidity and stability, but just like different kinds. Yeah, something more extroverted and adventurous in the Mars opposing Mercury, and something more conservative and familiar with Saturn, with the combination of these two influences. Saturn going back with Aries and Mars opposing Mercury. Um, I, I'm sensing that this is the message is unexpectedly kind of smooth because
Yeah.
there is that, what we're dealing with isn't just an opposition between Mars and Mercury and the square between Saturn and Mercury. We're also dealing with a square between Saturn and Mars, right? So they're very different energies, you know?
It's, it's
Um,
really weird. It's sort of implying that there's, appreciate, like the limitation
mm,
is almost like forcing you
yeah,
to kind of just appreciate what you have at home and what you already have.
yes,
That's kind of like what the message seems to be.
yeah,
So okay, so like maybe kind of we have been kind of like getting a bit complacent and thinking, oh, everything's going back to normal, everyone's going back to work, people are traveling, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, no, here it comes, the second thing. So I just think that tightening up again with the right attitude, it could just make people more grateful for what they have.
yeah,
We're just once again being reminded to be more grateful about what we actually have, that you don't have to kind of
yeah,
leave home to sort of appreciate things. I don't know, let's just the fourth card was what will change, what do we have to look forward to once Mercury actually gets out of that,
yeah.
giving that message, and comes into Scorpio. Okay, that I've almost said the message, before I turned over the card. It's like I haven't got, I almost don't have anything new to say now. It really is. Coming out of this the other end, it's like it will make, once it gets into Scorpio, which is a fixed sign, and it will kind of, I feel that this period of restriction, and it, whilst it might feel to some people quite sort of, you know, damaging, and it's kind of like maybe spoiling all their plans or whatever, the period of restriction will actually make people feel grateful and appreciate what they've got, and make them kind of like want to kind of, yeah, just value and treasure what they actually do have. A reminder of that, because we did get reminded of that when this all kicked off in March. And I think some people have been quite quick to forget about that again, and kind of don't care about the social distancing. You know, it's just, oh, it's all a big lie, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of like, I feel some people have not necessarily evolved as much as a human being as some other people have. I don't know, that I just feel that every situation has some sort of something sort of spiritually uplifting within it. You know, if you kind of like find it. And I do honestly feel this going into Scorpio will be a time to kind of like actually really kind of be grateful for what you still have and what you have got, and that you will just hold on to it dearly and start to treasure it. What? Who am I? Who am I?
I'm not sure I'm gonna guess it correctly, so I will concede this time. Ah, another coins card.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
And I kind of like feel that once having arrived in Scorpio, having survived the possible kind of like damage or kind of annoyance of the Mars and the Saturn, that's sort of like maybe for some people ruining their plans.
Right.
I just feel getting into Scorpio, it's kind of like, well, we're still all here, and I've still got this, and I don't know, I just feel a gratitude actually with that on this occasion.
Yes, definitely safe. Definitely safety.
Safety, yeah.
Having whatever makes him secure, close to him, and holding on to it.
Yeah.
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 I feel
A
like,
lot of this is, I mean, maybe the message here as well is, I mean, because everybody is feeling very, you know, we don't trust what our governments are doing. We don't trust we don't know what to believe, what not to believe. What's in the paper, we can't make any plans, blah, 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 you know, and all that sort of stuff. Maybe this is saying, actually, what we are trying desperately to do here is to kind of, is for the safety of everybody. That there's safety seems to be kind of coming into this, you know, what with the Queen of Pentacles coming up, she's very safe. This is a very safe little card. It came up reversed, but it's kind of like, yes, you know, it's kind of like, for your safety, we need to keep you distanced. We need to kind of limit. You can't do that. You know, this is for your safety.
yeah.
Maybe yes, safety is the overall message of this little period of time.
Yeah.
I think Mercury is making a strong message.
And yeah, and even like with the opposition with Mars, I feel like safety is a big issue. It is like as if the card is saying like celebrate but closer to home. And now
Yes.
that I think about it, I mean, that is kind of what I've been doing over the past past 2 weeks, maybe. That's what I've been doing, basically. I've been leaving my house more, but going to the houses of like friends that I know, and but not like people like not in big gatherings, you know. It's like a limited number
Yeah.
of people, you know.
Yes.
And yeah, keeping my and enjoying. I've been having a great time actually with these brief, like infrequent, small gatherings with people I'm already familiar with for the most part, you know.
Right.
So kind of celebrating within just how do I say this in a more conservative way, right? Like and moving and getting out of the house in a more conservative way. I know other people, some of my other friends, they've traveled already, you know. One of them has gone so far as to go to the UK, which for me I
Yeah.
don't feel so safe doing right now. But I've kind of come to a point of calm, let's say, or let's say reduced anxiety that's enabled me to reconcile myself to leaving the house more and mixing a little bit more with people, but not too much, you
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I'm kind of seeing it as it's like Saturn kind of watering down, old Saturn watering down Mars's more adolescent kind of extrovertedness, and
Right.
so then the message being transmitted to Mercury in a kind of subdued way, you know? Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's it. That's
Yeah. Maybe Mars and Saturn are sort of turning to Mercury to say, look, you know, we have a message here that we need you to kind of deliver.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that message is, you know, keep the party small, stay at home. Sorry, but yeah, freedom is restricted at the moment, and
mhm,
start to appreciate what you have got. It's really not that bad.
yeah.
You've done it before, you can do it again.
Everything we got in the reading is more on the conservative side, I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, so the general message, I guess, synthesis is like, yeah, stay hopeful, but within more realistic limits. Yeah.
yes, yeah. Wasn't that bad? It wasn't that bad. I think we were expecting big dramas,
Yes,
big arguments, big fights, all of that sort of thing.
yeah.
No, sorry, after all that.
Oh,
So there you have it. Thank you very much, Holly. That was very interesting. That was quite an intense combination, and I do hope that our internet connection remains functioning during this
yeah.
difficult period that is
Yeah.
coming up. So yeah,
Let's hope so. Maybe with
yeah,
the balance between Mars, the Martian push, and the Saturnine kind of restraint. Yeah, there'll be a balance, hopefully.
yeah. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Bye. Oh, by the way, everyone, don't forget my communication. Don't forget, what do they have to do? They have to like it, share it,
Yeah,
ring the bell
like,
if you want to kind of.
comment, and subscribe because these videos
Yes, please.
keep on coming. And we're going to be looking at kind of, we're going to be looking at astrological alignments, configurations in new ways that,
Yeah.
but they, quite probably you might not find in many other places. So yeah, please
Yeah.
stay tuned.
And we're going to mix it up with our love of the tarot. So
Yes.
yeah, that's what we like doing. And also, oh gosh, what else was I going to say? Yeah, if you don't know your astrology, but you do know your date, time, and place of birth, message us.
Yes.
We'll be very, very happy to tell you where all your essential planets are, and you'll be able to enjoy our videos even more.
Yep.
So, yeah, okay.
Right.
Thanks a lot. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.